Hello, hello, hello. A warm welcome to each one of you who's watching us today. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show, the Vedic Maths Forum India show, guys. And I want to welcome each one of you who is watching today from YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. A warm welcome to each one of you. Today we have an amazing, amazing guest with us today who's being live from New York, United States. His name is Scott Flansburg. Welcome, Scott, on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, Gaurav. I'm really excited to be here. It's my first time really doing a show in India, so I can't wait to see what kind of reaction we get from everybody.
Yeah, everybody loves. I must tell you this, Scott, that everybody loves you. You are a big hit. Your books are a big hit in India, and people love you for your records, for your humbleness, and for your amazing books.
Oh,
So I would like to go ahead and first introduce you to our wonderful viewers here, Scott. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Scott Flansburg with us, and he, since about 1990, he has regularly given lectures and presentations at a lot of schools, including and other organizations like such as NASA, IBM, the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, and even the Mental Calculation World Cup. One of, I must tell you this, folks, that one of Flansburg's, Scott's personal mission is to use education to elevate math confidence and self esteem in adults and children. He strongly believes that students should be becoming proficient with mental calculation methods rather than relying on table memorization. Scott is an American distinguished educator, and he is the creator of the Counting Bee, which is an annual STEM competition open for students from kindergarten to class 12 at all schools. A warm, warm welcome to you, Scott, to the show from India. So tell us, how did it all begin for you?
I remember it very clearly. I was in third grade. I was just about to be 9 years old, and I was in math class, and our teacher was beginning to show us how to add up a column of two-digit numbers where we had to use a carry. So you add up the ones and then you carry and all that. And I wasn't paying attention. And my teacher noticed that. And after she gave us some examples, she picked me to go up to the board to try to do this. And I think she was using me as an example. And I walked up to the board sort of stressed out. I didn't know what to do. And for some reason, my brain went backwards. I started on the left.
Hmm.
I thought I had to do numbers just like I learned how to read, which in English is left to right. And so I just started in the tens column and just kept a running total in my head. And I just went 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 57. And she goes, well,
Wow.
where's your carry? And I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. What's a carry? And she goes, you got to start over here and put a one up here. And I said, well, I think it's easier if you go this way. And she wrote another example down, 26, 23, 21, 18. I'll never forget it. And I just went 20, 40, 60, 70, 76, 79, 80, 88. And I just said 88 out loud. I didn't do the other stuff out loud. And she goes, what are you doing? And where did you learn that? And it just was natural to me. And I'm not kidding. It felt like something woke up in my brain at that moment where from that point on, everything I would learn in math class, I would sit there and say, okay, I see how they want me to do it, but is there a better way? And it just kept getting easier and easier for me to find patterns in numbers.
Wow. Wow. And how did the human calculator system happen? You created a calendar system, and how did all those things happen? Because when I read about it, it's some amazing discovery, Scott. I must tell you that.
Thank you so much. It's all about asking a better question. I After I got out of high school, I went in the Air Force, served in the United States Air Force for 6 years, 4 years in Japan, 2 years in Alabama. And my supervisor's son failed second grade math. And he knew I was good with numbers. And so they asked me to sit down with him. I spent 20 minutes with a little 7, 8 year old kid, Travis. And he got it. It was easy, just doing the left to right addition, some simple multiplication shortcuts and things. And the next day, his teacher called up and said, what did you tell this kid? He's our worst math student. And now he's doing things in
Mm.
his head faster than I can do them. What did you do? And so I they invited me to this school. And as an Air Force sergeant, I took the afternoon off and I went to the school and I did a little performance, just some basic stuff. And I'd really never done that publicly other than just fun with friends. And the students' reaction was so exhilarating, so inspiring to me that they even cared that I could do this stuff. And then when I showed them just a couple of quick tricks, couple of shortcuts, simple techniques, um, the school called me back and had me do a show for the whole school. And then the school district called and had me do schools for each school in the school district. And then I started getting
Uh,
letters from around the country. And so that's when I got out of the Air Force and started this. And to be honest with you, the first several years of my show was more about me demonstrating that I can do all this stuff. And so most of my show was about what I could do. A little bit of the show was about what can I teach you? And one
hmm.
day I was visiting a school and a little girl walked up to me and just asked the perfect question at the right time. She goes, it's amazing you can do all this, but can you show me how to do this and how to do that? And I was like, yeah, I've never really dove that deep. And so that was what inspired me to just document all these mental math strategies that I had come up with since that day in third grade until that point, and then it just keeps evolving from there.
Wow. Wow. That's simply amazing. And those abilities led you to be also featured on the show, the Amazing Discovery Show, where you were first introduced as a human calculator. Tell us about that, Scott. That's like amazing.
Thank you for reminding me about Amazing Discoveries. That was the infomercial, and it was right when infomercials started. This was early 90s. And Mike Levy, never forget his name, God rest his soul. Mike was brilliant with production and presentation. And I really hadn't gone that way about what's my narrative, what's my story, how can I convince people to give me money for what I'm trying to do. And Mike helped me put that together and present it in such a way. That was in 1991. And that
Okay.
changed my life because in America, and eventually around the world, infomercials were very easy and cheap to air in the middle of the night because there wasn't a lot of television programming in the early 1990s. So you could buy Discovery Channel 30 minutes for $2,500 and hope that enough
Ah,
people would buy your product to keep putting it on the air. And so for the first several years of my career, I was just on TV all the time and I was just visiting schools. And that's how that got started. So it happened really quickly. I really didn't put a value on my gift. And once I found people that valued my gift, I valued it more and I respected it more. And that's what inspired me to find more solutions and techniques to inspire and help people understand numbers.
wow. So, who was the real inspiration behind this? I mean, taking a
Regis.
leap of faith.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yes. I was just going to say the guy who named me was known as Regis Philbin. He just passed away. It was my first TV show, Regis and Kathy Lee in New York City. And at the end of the interview, he goes, Scott, you're like a human calculator. And that's when that all started, 1990.
Tell us about your books, Scott. They're a big hit in India. Math Magic for Kids, Math Magic, and the new one as well. So
Yeah.
tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I had never published anything like that before. It was really quite an experience. I hired a great ghostwriter, and she really walked me through it, just doing one chapter at a time, taking my time. It took us about a year. And I'd never really
Uh-huh.
been asked all these specific questions on all these specific techniques. And so it really drew a lot out of me that I just took for granted. So it was a dream come true to be able to publish those. Um, and then I just kept coming up with more stuff. In the 90s, 1990s, I was all over the world. It was a dream come true. I was being invited to perform and present and all these amazing conventions and businesses and schools. And in 1999, I was going through a little Y2K crisis. Remember, we were all going to perish from the calendar that we were.
Yeah.
And so that's what inspired me to come up with a better way to keep track of time. But I do want to put one point in here. The calendar that we use served a great purpose for me in that, even though it's 2,000 years old, invented by Romans who
Mhm.
thought the earth was flat and that they were the center of the universe, and the names don't mean what they say, like October in Latin means eighth month, but October's our 10th month, and all these other irregularities that are with the calendar that we still use 2,000 years later. And now we're going to the moon and Mars, and we have satellites, and we're doing everything. We still have a calendar that makes literally no sense to the human brain. So the Y2K really got my attention. And so I was like, how can we measure time more
Mhm.
efficiently and mathematically? Instead of something, most people don't know what day Christmas is or what day their birthday is. They have to look at a calendar. We're very calendar dependent. And when I got out of the Air Force, I ended up in Florida, and I was in front of West Palm Beach Library, and I was waiting for a flight to go to Phoenix, where I was going to end up to live for 30 years. And
Mhm.
I found a book in the library that was tiny. It was about that. It was thin. It was 100 over 100 years old. It hadn't been checked out in 50 years. And the guy said
Wow.
there's a pattern in the calendar, and here's an algorithm to show you how to figure out what day of the week it was on. I took a little index card and I wrote the algorithm down. And I'll never
Mhm.
forget it because the next day I flew to Phoenix, and it was 8/8/88, August 8th,
Ah.
1988, 8/8/88. And I got on the airplane, and I was working on this algorithm in my head so I could do it in my head. And I didn't need to look at it or write it down. And I got it. I could feel it. Like I could always already crunch the numbers, but I was like, wow, what a cool pattern in the calendar that you can calculate what day of the week a date is on if you can crunch these four numbers and do this little work. And by the time I landed in Phoenix, I could do it in a second, half a second. So just for fun, what's your birthday?
9th November 1979.
Friday.
Wow.
That's
Wow. That's
there's
true.
there's people who can do it that fast now, but I mean, in 1990 or 1988, I was freaking out that I could figure that out that quickly in my head. And I'll never forget. I landed at the airport, and my sister Cindy picked me up, and I was, Cindy, pick a date and tell me the day, and I'll tell you what day of the week it was on. And she tells me her birthday, and I said that was a Friday, and she goes, "Who cares?"
Ah.
I was like, oh, but now when I perform at schools, all the students get a card from me, and on the back, there's a place for them to write their name and their birth date. And when I meet all the students after the show, I can say hello to them, say their name, and in half a second, figure out what day of the week they were born on. And I just circle Friday or whatever day it is. And now in 3 seconds, I have a connection with those students. And they go home and they say,
Absolutely.
Mom, Dad, was I born on a Friday? And now they have to talk about it. Why was it a Friday? Why isn't it a Friday this year? And now we get kids asking questions about time and calendars. So for me, it was a dream come true that brought my show together. And it comes in handy. I mean, you'd have to agree when you're in a meeting and a date comes up, and I know what day of the week it is, and instantly, it comes in handy.
Wow. We'll just take a moment out and we just want to say a big, big hello to all our viewers who's joining us right now. So we want to say hello to Ratin Biswas who says hello. And then we have Akhil Upari who says good evening. And then we have Uma Maheshwari who's wishing us a good day. And I think that's about it. And some more hellos.
I would
So,
love to.
folks, if
I would love to see where they're from. If they wouldn't mind putting where they're from, what city, what country. Just so I can tune into where we're reaching. It'd be fun.
absolutely. So, folks, if you're listening to that, just say hello and which city or country you're from. So it'll really help us identify where you're from, and we would love to know where the show is taking place in. So, yeah, so just say hello with the city name if you're watching right now.
Like me,
Coming back.
I'm in Herkimer, New York. So Herkimer, New York was where I was born and raised, and now I'm working on a huge project, a real estate basketball project. And so, if anybody's ever in upstate New York, it's 3 hours north of New York City. That's where we are. Okay, so now we're getting some cities. All right, let's go. Okay, anyway, sorry, I didn't need to. I just wanted to watch the comments as we do this.
Yeah. So I think it's coming over. A lot of people have started. Let's take that for a moment. So we have Shobha Bharat Nitharan from Chennai, which is south of India.
Hmm.
We have Easy Teach Academy from India again. And then Easy Teach Academy is from Mumbai. Now he just types it. And there's another comment which just came in, uh, which is from, no, Uma Maheshwari, who says she's from Hyderabad. And Rajesh Kumar Thakur, who just said, love watching the conversation. Hello to both. So I know Rajesh Kumar Thakur personally. He's from New Delhi. A big shout out to you folks in Rajesh in New Delhi. Okay, that was wonderful. So we come back to that, but let's talk about something which put you on the world stage. Like you're doing these shows and visiting places, and then the Guinness record happens in 2001. So that must have been an incredible turning point of your career. Tell us about that, Scott.
It was a miracle. I'm very blessed. One of my buddies, his name is Eric Schatz. He's in Los Angeles, and he's a TV show producer. And they had a show called How They Do That, or something like that. And this was in early mid '90s. And so I did that show. I met the host Pat O'Brien, and we had a great interview. And we were friends after that. Well, a couple of years later, Eric gets the contract from Fox Television to do Guinness World Records primetime in America, which is a show that would set records. And so he called me up and said, "Hey, what can you do that we could try to get you into the Guinness Book World Records?" And I'd never thought about that. And I have this natural gift to count by numbers. And so I showed him that. And he goes, "That's it." He goes, "I can make that a TV moment." And so he
Wow.
invented it. He goes, "Okay, we're going to give you 15 seconds, and we're going to have the fastest accountant in the world using a 10-key calculator, and we're going to choose a random number." They used 38. So I had to add 38 plus 38 plus 38 plus 38, and they had to do it on the calculator, and we had 15 seconds to see who could get the most answers. And the only way I could get in the Guinness book is if I beat the accountant. And so they chose 38. I have 15 seconds. So it sounds like this: 38, 76, 114, 152, 190, 228, 266, 304, 342, 380, like that. And I can go
Wow.
much faster. And I have to do that for 15 seconds. And at the end of the 15 seconds, I had 35 answers. So I beat the machine by several, and that's what got me in the Guinness book. And that happened in 2000, 2001. And they don't republish all records every year. There's so many records, they just try to sparse them out. And so I
Mhm.
was in the book again in 2003 because nobody had beaten the record. And again in 2014, 15, 16, somewhere in there. But nobody's ever beaten my record. And Guinness will once in a while just put it back in the book. And I actually did beat my own record in Tokyo on Guinness World Records Tokyo. So my world record now is 36 answers in 15 seconds. So just for fun, you want me to demonstrate it for you? You can pick the number, so there's no way I can set it up, but just on your calculator, the people watching the show, just punch in 38 plus 38 and just keep hitting equals, and you'll see the answers go on. But clear the calculator and go ahead, pick a number you want me to count by. And I'll put, got
Let's
my
ask
hand.
our audience. I could give you a number right now, but let's ask our audience, okay? If
Okay.
the some people watching right now. So,
It,
folks,
let's
if
do
you're watching this right now, give us a two-digit number right now. You're watching that on the chat.
I
Let's see the
promise you,
chat over there.
somebody's gonna pick a
That's
prime number. That's my guess.
fine. Let's see. Let's see. Guys, two-digit number. Come on.
Yeah, it'll look set up if you pick it. You're right. We got to have a human not here put in a two-digit number. There we
Okay,
go.
there you go. 76.
Here we go.
Yeah.
152, 228, 304, 380, 456, 532, 608, 684, 760, 836, 912, 988, 1064, 1140, 1216, 1292, 1368, 1444, 152, 1596, 1672, 1748, 1824, 1900, 1976. Like that.
God,
1976.
your page is awesome.
Thank you. And
Wow.
that and that is, I can do that so quickly. I can't explain how I do it so quickly. I'm just so tuned into numbers. When I heard 76, I'm on channel 76 and I'm gone. And the thing that we learned in this shooting, though, that I didn't know about myself was we went to the commercial break and the judge said, "Scott, you beat the calculator. We're going to put you in the Guinness book." He goes, "But we got a problem. We think you're cheating." And I was like,
Ah.
"How am I cheating counting by 738 like that?" And
Yeah.
he goes, "Well, we don't think you're calculating. We think you've memorized all these answers." And I said, "Well, I should get in the Guinness book for that. If I can memorize those numbers and recite them that quickly, that should be a world record too." And he goes, "Well, can you prove to us that you're not memorizing counting by that number?" And I said, "Well, first off, it was a random number that you guys picked. I didn't know before right then what it was going to be. But let's try this." And we talked about it for a minute. Here's what we came up with. when I asked you all to do that, on your calculator, 38 plus 38 or whatever, it always starts at 0. Calculators always start at 0. But what if you asked me to count by 38, except starting instead of at 0, let's start at a random 3-digit number like 753. So now can I do 753 plus 38 plus 38 plus 38 plus 38? And I can go at the same exact speed. So just for fun, we're not setting this up. Okay, now we have another number here. Let's use 99 as our new starting number. And 76 was the number we counted by. And I can do the same speed. Here we go. 175, 251, 327, 403, 479, 555, 631. Just same speed as soon as I
Wow.
plug those numbers into my brain. So it's not memory.
Wow. Something I want to share with you something here that even I asked Shakuntala Devi when she was alive. She was a personal mentor to me, and she taught me great many things. And she was the inspiration why I'm in this field today. So she said that she even can't explain these things, that how it happens. It is so uncanny to know that. And, and then her brain was scanned by a scientist in the US. And then they even can't explain that why how she could do it. And then she wrote a book, and the book was called The Joy of Numbers. And there
Mm-hmm.
she shared some of the secrets, but she couldn't share all the secrets because it came naturally to her. So I think is that a savant? Are you a savant or a polymath? How are you able to do this?
I mean, I don't know. There's two things. One, maybe I bumped my head when I was a kid and that created this, but it's really bizarre from a statistical perspective in um, that I'm called the human calculator, and being the fastest human calculator in the world for over 20 years in a row now. But crazier is that I believe I've discovered a pattern in numbers that is going to revolutionize the way that students and people think about numbers when it comes to basic numbers and arithmetic. And so I'm looking forward to sharing that with you because I can't wait to get your reaction to my theory. And one other thing I want to point out where I went on the Guinness World Record, I was waiting for somebody to try to break my record to
Mhm,
do a bigger one because I can go much bigger. And at the 2016 Memoriad, which I was the
mhm.
chairman of and hosted in Las Vegas, Nevada, which was a fun event. I mean, Memoriad and the crew there is an amazing group of folks that are really inspired and doing great things around the world. And I was honored to be the chairman. And
Wow.
I was challenged by a lady who broke 4 world records that week in multiplication and addition, and from Korea. And
Mhm.
at the finals, she challenged me to my world record, except we had to do a 3-digit number. And so the
Mm.
judge chose 247. And she went first and she did it in Korean. So I didn't know what number they picked or how she was doing. I could just hear that she didn't shut up. She talked nonstop. Her mouth, she was answering numbers as fast as I talk. And I was like, oh no, she's probably going to beat me. It was just the first time I felt like I was going to lose. And I had never really competitively done a 3-digit number. Plus, it was the end of a 3-day or 4-day event where I was exhausted. I had been working for months to put this on, bringing 150 mental athletes from around the world for a week at the Golden Nugget in downtown Las Vegas, and all the judges and world records and sponsors. And I had never put myself through anything like that. And it was the end of all that. And they said 247. And I had no idea how many answers I could get because I never measured it. And I just went and I got 26 answers. And she ended up with 24. And when we did the math at the end, whether I counted by 247 or 38 or whatever, if you count the number of digits in the answers that I spoke in that 15 seconds, it's the exact same number of digits. It works out to 7 digits per second is the
Wow.
rate that I can go. So now this time I'll go full speed for you. So let's see, there's another number up here, 73. Ready? 73, 146, 219, 292, 365, 438, 501, 584, 657, 730, 803, as fast as I can talk. The only thing slowing me down is breathing. I sneak a breath in there in the
Yeah.
middle. So that's it.
Wow, that was fantastic, Scott. That was amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm sure
Thank
our viewers are enjoying that, and we have a lot of numbers and we asked them, but that was amazing, Scott. It's truly impressive. And I think that was the foundation for you to start the counting bee also, right?
Yeah, the
You
count.
became an ambassador.
Go ahead. Yep.
You became an ambassador of for maths and counting bee. You launched the STEM show, and I saw some of the demonstration of the students. They were doing this exact same thing which you did right now. So that's amazing. Tell us about that. How does counting bee happen?
Counting bee, the counting bee is like a spelling bee, but a spelling bee only works in English, and so or English speaking countries, and so a lot of places don't have spelling bees. But the counting bee works for all countries and all languages because we all speak the language of numbers, and so we can have a counting bee in every country every year to identify the fastest human calculators in each age group every year to celebrate these mental athletes. And here's how it works. Each round is 15 seconds, just like my Guinness World Record. And the first round, you got to count by three as fast as you can
Mhm.
and record how many answers you get. But nobody starts at zero. The facilitator, teacher, or parent has to give them a random starting number that is not a multiple of that number. So if they're counting by three, you can't have them start at six and count by three because they already know those. So it has to be a random number that is not a multiple of it. So let's say the first round you get up on stage and you have to start at seven and count by three. Go. You got to say 10, 13, 16, 19, 22. And we see how many answers you get. Let's say you got 20 answers. You were counting
Okay.
by three and you got 20 answers. So your score is 3 times 20 or 60 points. The next level, you have to count by four. So let's say you have to start at 13 and count by four, 17, 21, 25. I don't know. Let's say you get 20 more answers in those 15 seconds. You were counting by four, you got 20 answers, you would get 80 points. And our students go up as high as they can. They got to count by 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the winner of the first counting bee we had was in Arizona in 2018. And he
Mhm.
got, let's see, I want to make sure I get this right. He counted by 13 and he got
Okay.
25 answers in 15 seconds, counting by 13. And it was very impressive. The audience freaked out. The parents were surprised that a kid could go that quick. And what we found is that there's students around the world that can do this. They might not be the best maths class student, but they
Mhm.
understand numbers and they can crunch numbers. And so we want to celebrate those folks to promote numeracy. And so we are having the first national counting bee in America on 9/9, September 9th. And then we'll be having an international counting bee where we'll let people from around the world submit their scores and we'll pick the top 10 in each age group and have an international counting bee later this year. But next year, we will start launching a national counting bee in each country each year to find the students that are selected to go to the international counting bee. So I'm really excited about India having a counting bee because that's going to be a fun show to see what age groups, because the person I want to celebrate and I got to bring up, and if you don't mind, is Priyanshi Samani. Can we talk about her?
Absolutely. Yeah, 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 absolutely.
She she changed my life, Priyanshi Samani. I was at the World Championships for Memoriad in 2008 in Germany with all these amazing humans. And I saw Priyanshi and her family walk in. Her mother and father were with her when they were checking in. And I thought that her father was checking in and didn't think anything of it. And at the opening
Mhm.
dinner, the judges put a laptop in the middle of the room and said, "Hey, if anybody wants to try to break a world record right now, you can go on this laptop and everybody can stand around you and watch you." Priyanshi Samani jumped out of her chair, ran over there, sat down, and was going to break the multiplication world record at any cost. And all of us guys and girls from around the world that hardly knew each other, our jaws were dropped. We sat there and watched her break world records at 5 years old. She ended up being a champion at the Mental Calculation World Cup. And
Yeah.
here's what hits me the most, and people don't know this, and I've never told this story, but I hope Priyanshi doesn't mind because it changed my life. Um, we had to go into this room for the contest, and it was very secure, no noise. I mean, the rules, you know how those go. The rules are tight, and so no visitors in the room. Well, I walked out of the first competition, and I saw Priyanshi's parents over by a wall. And I asked what's
Mhm.
going on. They said, well, we're not allowed in the room. So we found where she was sitting in the room. And then we went and found the place that we could stand closest to her in the building and pray for her. And I started crying. I was like, "This is amazing to see this type of a family." And what she ended up doing there, and I still am friends with her to this day. And she's one of the sweetest girls. But more importantly, she could do this so naturally. She was so gifted. She didn't even try half the time. It just like she was just having fun. And I
Wow.
embraced that, and I just said, "That's what I need. I need to just make sure I'm having fun. I want to be a kid the rest of my life like she is." But her mom and dad made me cry that day, and I'm friends with them on Facebook to this day. And the Smani family is just a wonderful group of humans that is out there making a difference. And Priyanchi's on her path now, and that she started with numbers and number sense. Who knows where she's going to go? But it was really a
Wow.
dream come true to see her at that age. So thanks for letting me share that story.
Absolutely. I want to ask you a question. I get it all the time, promoting mental maths and stuff in India and other countries. So, what do you say to people who ask if mental math is relevant in today's digital age? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's scary. That's really scary. You can tell your iPhone to read an email to you. You don't even have to learn how to read anymore. You could just have it talk to you. So, reading, writing, arithmetic, back to American 1930s, the three R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. You can't afford not to tune into the language of numbers, just like the language you choose to speak. Numbers are the most powerful and the precise and the most powerful and most popular language on the planet Earth. And not only does it get you the right answer, but it teaches your mind underlying order of the universe. It gives you a foundation, not only of number sense, but of logic that will
Wow.
transform your experience of reality. So that's why I keep pushing for numeracy.
Wow. Because in India, sometimes, they ask you these questions, they bring you down. But I think every student should have a foundation in mental maths. I think that's very, very important, irrespective of whether it's the digital age or any other age. They should have a big, big foundation in mental maths. So did you know about Vedic maths? Have you ever heard about it? What are your thoughts on Vedic maths?
Yeah, it was funny for me because when I was growing up, we didn't have access to a lot of information. We had encyclopedias that were 10 years old, so no
Yeah.
less the internet. So Vedic maths didn't really come up much. And only when I became the human calculator did people start emailing me and saying, "Hey, do you know about this Vedic math system that you should tune into? You could get even faster." And I loved it. I loved the strategies. But what I saw instantly that there are two things. One is it requires a lot of memorization of technique or strategies. You have to memorize these techniques. And the second part is for a lot of these techniques, they require specific number settings. Complementary multiplication, 96 times 94. Very cool. I show it to kids at schools. It's fun. They love it. But if it's 96 times 54, we're not talking about that. So there's certain scenarios that it works. And it's great to amplify people's range to be able to do mental math. And for me, just so you know, when I'm doing a demonstration at a show or whatever, it takes me longer to figure out which technique to use than it does to calculate the answer. When you say 86
Hmm.
times 73, I'm going, which way do I want to go? Do I want to do 86 times 70 and times 3, or do I feel like going to? And when I decide, then I'm gone. So I've gotten quick at both, obviously. But to me, I love it's like a dance of numbers. It's like learning a dance. And so when you learn how to dance, you don't learn all the dances at once. You got to learn one at a time. And so the tango of numbers is how to multiply two numbers together using the Vedic system is magical and beautiful. It illustrates it wonderfully. I'd love to see the patterns. I think that's really important for students to see early on as well as all these beautiful patterns, but also limitations of patterns when it comes to uh, putting Vedic math strategies into play. And so if you said to me, "Hey, let's do some multiplication," I'm not just going to use one
True.
strategy. I'm going to use one of the six that I probably, or six or seven ways that I can do it. But I love it. We have nothing comparable to it in America or really anywhere else in the world. There's no other system, if you will. Trachtenberg came up with a system for multiplying times 11. That was about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to just tune in to all our viewers out there. We're getting plenty of questions. So we Tamal Mania says, Tamal Manna says, good evening, and then we have Shrikant Marisetti. Hi, Mr. Scott. Mr. Gaurav Shrikant from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. And then we have Parul Sharma who says hello. And then we have Rajesh Kumar Thakur who said, it really sounds interesting, Gaurav. We should implement this astonishing idea of organizing counting bee competition. So there you go. I mean, people are tuning in. And I think it's high time we should bring counting bee to India as well. We would love to collaborate, Scott. We're going to talk about how we do that after the interview. So
I
tell us
would,
about your mission in, yeah.
yeah, with the counting bee just in India, let me just tell you, I be a dream come true. Not only to come to India, but to come to India under the premise of the counting bee, because if we have the counting bee, we'll identify all these students in each age group across the country. And then my dream come true would be to visit all those children in their local areas and go to the schools, have them on local television, promote them in their local communities to inspire other children. And I think we can duplicate that in every country around the world to really make it cool to count.
Wow. Wow. What's your mission, Scott, in math? You've spoken about it, but I want you to really define it so that it's your legacy. Tell us about that.
Let's go there. It's freaky. I hope you can give me some clarity on this. Y2K, remember the calendar? And I discovered the calendar right before Y2K. People can
Uh-huh.
download that calendar for free at my website, humancalculator.com. It's a 13-month calendar, and every month has 28 days. 28 days is 4 weeks. So the first would always be a Monday, the fifth would always be a Friday. Every month, the numbers would be the same day of the week. And it's the only calendar in the world that counts zero. There's 13 months, but they're numbered 0 through 12. There's a 0 month, a 1 month. Every month has 28 days, except 13 times 28 is 364. We got to have 365. And that's what inspired me to come up with the 0 day. So the first day of the year is 00, the 0 day of the 0 month. And then every other month, all the months have 28 days. No other months have 0 days. So it makes it 365. And I was freaking out about Y2K and trying to get this calendar to save the world, to get it out there before we all blew up. And we had launched the calendar on 9/9/99, and nothing happened. It skipped. The newspaper decided to put it out a week later, and I was all bummed out because 9/9/99, that's a once in a lifetime date. And um, and I thought, as a computer programmer in the United States Air Force, I was aware of end of file markers 99. So the computers were interpreting these 99s as end of files, and that's why they were going to shut down and all this stuff. So anyway, 9/9/99 seemed like a first day of Y2K, and nothing happened. The paper didn't come out. I went to play golf with one of my best friends in the world. His name's Alice Cooper. He's a rock and roll star in America and around the world. And we were on the 18th green, and he wrote a song called 18. And he goes, hey, 18, 1 plus 8 is 9. Today's 9/9/99. How come 18 adds up to 9? And I said, Alice, that's easy. Any number times 9, that answer adds up to 9. Like 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 9 is 27. 2 and 7 is 9. 4 times 9 is 36. 3 and 6 is 9. He goes, okay, I don't care. And I was driving home, and I'm driving home thinking about that. And I was thinking about my 13-month calendar. And for some reason, I looked at the number 13 and I added it together. 1 plus 3 is 4. 13 minus 4 is 9.
Nine.
And I noticed that at 9/9/99 at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, what's that all about? And a minute later, I saw the number 11, and I did 1 and 1 is 2. 11, take away 2 is 9. And as now I'm worried. And I try it with more and more numbers. 55, 5 and 5 is 10. 55 minus 10 is 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. It kept working. And I got so nervous. I thought, here I am, the human calculator, and maybe I missed one day in 4th grade when they taught this, and everybody else on the planet Earth knows that everything goes back to the number 9, and I'm the only guy that doesn't. And so I was afraid to contact anybody. I finally called some teachers and I said, hey, what is this called where it goes back to 9? And they said, what do you mean? So we went through a couple of examples. So let's say you picked 86. 8 and 6 is 14. 86 minus 14 is 72. 7 and 2 is 9. And I didn't know what to think of it. When did you learn about this pattern?
When I was studying Vedic math, it's called the digit sum pattern. And
Yes.
there is something called the 9 point circle as well.
Yes.
So so that was the time when I was studying it, that was the time I learned about it.
So why isn't this common sense? This simple pattern should be chapter 0. Everybody should learn this before they try to learn arithmetic because it's so logical and simple. Now, let me ask you this question then, because I didn't know that, and I started studying, and I saw the circle. I found a couple of great books about Vedic mathematics, and I saw the 9 circle, and I was like, how to communicate this, and what purpose does it serve? And 2 years later, I was in Australia on tour, and I got in an argument with a radio host at the end because he
Mhm.
gave me his book. It was all about the numbers 1 through 100. Adam
Ah,
Spencer, Adam Spencer in Australia, and I said, Adam, what happened to 0? It should be 0 to 99. And that's when I had come up with this number grid. Instead of 1 through 100, it's 0 to 99, and it reveals all these patterns. I have this little coloring book you can get, and it reveals hundreds of patterns that teach you all your math facts just by using 10 colors, 10 crayons with this number
wow.
grid, 0 through 99. And but here's the question that I want to ask you. And this is just for fun. This is just for exercise sake, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. If you're a
Okay.
little kid and they ask you, prove it, how would you prove to a young student that 1 plus 1 is 2? How would you prove it to them?
I would draw some two apples, one apple plus one apple. How many apples? Two apples.
Counting
So
objects. Counting
yeah,
objects. Well, that's cool. But if the student has to do 36 plus 87, that's a lot of counting of apples. So
true.
other than counting objects, how else can we prove that 1 plus 1 is 2? You could punch it into a calculator.
Hmm.
People call you because you've done it a million times. You could confirm for them 1 plus 1 is 2. But there's no logical check that 1 plus 1 is 2. But now I think there is. And that's what I want to share with you. I'm so excited about today. I believe this pattern teaches us our math facts. Start at the number 11. 1 plus 1. There's a 1 and a 1. 11 is
Hmm.
1. 1. We know
Hmm.
1 plus 1 is 2. Let's plug it in. 11 take away 2 is 9. If you get 9, everything is fine. It's a checker. So let's say you're having a
Wow.
bad day and you start at 11, 1, 1, and you think 1 plus 1 is 3. Well, let's plug it in. 11 minus 3 is not 9.
Is-
It's 8. So that tells you that 1 and 1 can't be 3. It has to be 2 because the only thing that makes it go back to 9 is 11 take away 2. All right. Well, how does that work if we want to learn 2 plus 2? Well, we start at 22. 2 and 2 is 4. 22 minus 4 is 18. 1,
18.
8. That answer adds up to 9. If it adds up to 9, everything is fine. So my mission that you asked me about when it comes to mathematics and numbers is my mission is to reach every student on the planet Earth before they're 9 years old and make sure they color in this coloring book that goes from 00 to 99 and learn all these math facts. In chapter 9, teaches them that everything goes back to the number 9. And if every child would learn this before they're 9 years old, when they're 9, every number they see on the planet Earth for that whole year will go back to their age, the number 9. It'll make them feel like 9 is their special number, and it will make them feel like numbers are a natural language to them. And now here's the difference. It's a it's a diagnostic tool. If you have your kid in the car and you're driving to school and you see a sign on the side of the road that says 55, your son or daughter should be able to say to you, Mom, Dad, 55. 5 plus 5 is 10. 55 minus 10
Understand.
is 45,
Okay.
and 4 plus 5 is 9. Everything is fine. Now,
Wow.
if the student can't do 5 and 5 is 10, you know where your problem lies. You got to work on that. If they can't plug it in and do 55 minus 10 is 45, then you got to help them with subtraction. But if they get the answer is 45 and then they have to recognize that 4 and 5 adds up to 9. Each step individually is very simple. All three synchronized in the proper order are a very revealing dance. And your parents and your teachers can use this simple exercise as a diagnostic tool to help us overcome where students aren't connecting the dots when it comes to basic arithmetic and numbers. And when students finish this coloring book and showing you they can make all numbers go down to 9, we have done our job. We've given a student a foundation of number sense that can now take them to the as high as they want to go. But when these students don't have a foundation in number sense and they want to go as high as they want to go, it comes crumbling down because that foundation isn't there. And so I believe the matrix of 00 to 99 and how everything goes back to 9 is going to revolutionize the relationship humans have with numbers and give us all a chance to tune into that language.
Wow. Wow. I just want to add that the magic of nine, it even goes to subtractions, multiplications, divisions, cube roots. So that's fantastic. So
Yes,
that's something great. So if it's nine, everything is fine.
yes, that's my
Awesome,
goal.
awesome, Scott. Your last question, Scott. Any message for students and teachers across the world? We're seeing you live right now, and we'll
Yeah,
see you later as well.
yeah, I have a message. I have a theme. Every year I wake up, I create a theme for that year. A spiritual message, a motivational message, a life mindset message, if you will. And in 2020, I did one, but because we had COVID, I've extended it to 2021. It was a long year. But the theme I'm on now is lighten up. Don't take life so seriously. Have fun. I'm very blessed that I got to do what I love for the last 30 years. And when I talk to people that have jobs where they feel like they're working, they feel like they're missing out of something else or taking away from the time they could have. And I've never missed a moment in my life. I've been present. I'm in the moment. I love what I do. I've never felt like I've ever worked in my life. Every day is a blessing. These children that I meet inspire me. One student walks up to me after a show and says one thing that hits my heart. That inspires me for 10 more years. I'm ready to go for 10 more years after something like that. So all I ask people to do is lighten up, because when it comes to math, a lot of people freeze and tense up and get nervous. Numbers are easy. Math is easy. It's logical. It's the most logical thing you're going to experience as a human on this planet. It's more logical than emotions, more logical than anything. So don't avoid it, because if you get it, you can use it the rest of your life, and it definitely is an advantage.
Wow. That's nice, Scott. Thank you so much, so much. It was such an engaging conversation we had, and it was lovely to have you on show. I think it was one of the best shows we ever had. We connected on so many questions, so many dimensions that you mentioned. I want to take a time out to encourage everybody to go to the website, Scott's website. It's called scottflansburg.com, and get a look at the website. A lot of interesting things happening there. Techniques from Scott's journey is also present in the book, and you also get a certificate at the end. A lot of videos there, and do go ahead and get Scott's books, which
Thank
we
you.
already talked about. So I just put it on for you, for the students out there: How to Master Everyday Math Problems, Math Magic by Scott Flansburg, and Math Magic for Your Kids. Find it on
And,
Amazon, and I'm sure you're gonna love it.
and just so you know, the wizard hat on the Math Magic, I lost a bet, and that's why I had to wear that hat. Okay, so
Awesome, awesome. I think it is a fantastic, Scott. And viewers, don't forget to like, share, comment this lovely conversation. And it's very, very inspirational to hear from you, Scott. And let's take our friendship and our collaboration forward.
I'll
So on
see you.
that end,
I'll see you at the counting bee in India. How's that?
that's fantastic. Let's rock the counting bee in India now, and let's take it forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all you're doing with numbers and math for students, especially. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you so much. Bye for now.